Welcome everybody to the free Fortitude Podcast. My name is Uriah Stepp, the host of this awesome podcast. I want to thank you guys for joining in today. I'm driving through traffic in the middle of a rainstorm, and I thought, what better time to film a podcast than now? I just left an awesome meeting with my friend Burke. Shout out Burke, he's been on the podcast. Love that guy. He's such a great brother, such a great encourager. And I was sharing with him, something that I wanted to talk about on this podcast. And it's this idea of creation. And, in the beginning of the Bible, there's this book called Genesis. And it talks about God creating the heavens, the earth, all the creation, right? And in verse 26, it gets to this point of creating humanity. And he says, let us create man in our image and in our likeness. I do believe women too, okay? So all of you feminists out there that watch this show, please don't come at me. I believe that women are made in the image and likeness of God too. So if you go a little bit further, a few more passages down the line there, Eve is then tempted, right? She's tempted to believe this idea that she is not made in the image and likeness of God. And in fact, that if she took a bite of this fruit, then she would come to her senses and she would know like God and be like God. And it's the lie that the enemy gives Eve, and she does take a bite. Adam is there too. She takes a bite. Adam is not exempt from this. By the way, men out there, if he knew who he was, he would have grabbed that serpent and cut its freaking head off. All that to say, we forget. We forget who we are. Sometimes we forget that God made us in his image and in his likeness. And I truly, truly, truly believe that if we're made in his image and in his likeness, God being creator, us being the creation, but if we're in his likeness, we then too can create. Burke was sharing this awesome story with me about Edison, Thomas Edison, the guy who created the light bulb, right? He had a vision and he could see it. And he did like 10,000 different things to see that fruition come into an existence, right? Like, how many of us can say that we can see something and we want to keep trying until we see it to fruition? I'll take it even deeper. How many of us get alone with God, get to a quiet place, and just invite the Spirit of God to give us a vision, to just sit and wait for him to give us a vision? It gets uncomfortable in a society where we're constantly on the run and we got to do it, we got to make it happen. This microwave society, like getting still and waiting for the Lord to give us a vision, and then creating that and co-laboring with God to see it to fruition. That is what I want to talk about today. Whenever I went through my divorce and I got 50% custody of my kids, I was thinking about how I could do something to where whenever I have my girls, I could really focus on them and be present with them when I have them. Inevitably, like work comes up, stuff happens, right? But for the most part, I wanted to be with them when I had them, because that was important to me. That was something that I had a vision of. And so I did. I set out to create that. And if it weren't for God, I do not think I would be in the position that I'm in today to be able to help other entrepreneurs create a consistent, engaging presence on social media, help them build their brand, help them get in front of the eyeballs that they need to get in front of to be successful too, right? Brand identity and all of this stuff. I do not think that I would be able to be there if it weren't for God. Getting alone with Him, allowing Him to speak into my life, allowing Him to direct me and show me how to set up a business and set up, whatever it is that I wanted to create, right? I really believe that it's our responsibility as humanity to be successful and create. Now, you might be like, Uriah, I'm a 9-to-5er, I'm not down with the whole entrepreneurship thing. But I truly believe that within each and every person, there is this desire for more and to be creative and do things maybe differently than how people do things. And create, man. Create. And so, I know this is a lot different than most podcasts that I do. But I really want to open this conversation up and really talk about this and digest it. What does it look like to create with God? What does it look like to expound on the visions and dreams that He's given us and step out and expand His glory? I think in society today, it's very easy to slip into an egotistic mentality and say, look what I've built. And there's a story in the Bible about a guy named Nebuchadnezzar that did that. He stepped out on his balcony and he said, look what I created. And shortly after that, he went crazy. He went into the wilderness and became a beast of sorts and lost his mind, right? And it wasn't until that he acknowledged that the Lord had done it that he was restored back to his kingdom. So I understand that in today's society, it's really easy to slip into that and look what I did and look what I'm doing and all of this other stuff. That's not what I'm getting at here. What I'm really getting at is doing it for God's kingdom. Whatever it is, whatever you do, let it all be done to the glory of God is what another scripture says, right? Can we do this? And I believe it's possible. And even for those of you who may not believe like I believe, I really believe that it's possible for you to sit and God give you a vision and God give you a dream and a desire to fulfill here on this earth. And I think it's our responsibility, man. I really do. I really think that it is our responsibility to create. To not just go with the flow of society and what society has to offer and be put in a box, but actually expand past that and grow and develop and evolve. I believe that this is how God intended it, is for us to grow and evolve. And I look back at stories in scripture and, everybody had different jobs, some were fishermen, some were, priests, some were furniture builders like Jesus, like carpenters, right? Like, I believe that we're all created to create in some way, shape, or form. And some of us have different giftings and strengths that others don't. And I don't think we should all look like each other. I don't think we should all, business develop in the same way. I think we all can grow. We all can change and do it how God instructs us how to do it, right? Like, we can all sit down and really press into what the Lord has for us. So that's what I really am getting at here is, yes, we are made in His image. We are made in His likeness. And Him being creator, we can create. We can do it. And this other idea that came up to me today is, all throughout Scripture, Jesus is saying, remember. 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 Fear not. Remember. Remember. And there's something there. Like, There's something to that, because I, of all people, forget all the time. You could sit here and tell me something and I would forget it in an instant. It's pitiful. It's terrible. And Jesus refers to us as sheep, right? Like, we need to remember Him. Remember who we are. Identity is such a huge thing. Eve forgot who she was. She forgot that she was already created in the image and likeness of God. And so she bit into temptation, literally. We as humanity, we forget. But when we draw near to the Father, He reminds us of who we are. He reminds us of our true identity in Him. And it's really easy to get away from the Lord and get in our own creative mind and creative flow and think, oh, I'm going to create this and it's so much better than anything else. And it's not competition. It really isn't. That's where we get caught up in the hamster wheel, right? We get caught up in this hamster wheel of, oh, I got to be better. I've got to do it better than them, this, that, the other. When maybe, just maybe, if we would co-labor with God and just be with God, right? We would experience success on a level that the world today has no idea of. And I truly believe getting in the presence of the Lord is true success. It's not financial. It's not, I have this stuff, right? I don't believe that's success. And to some people here in the world, that is success. But I don't believe that. I believe that being in the presence of the Lord and seeing His kingdom advance, that is success to me. And being able to partake in that, and being able to sit with Him and get a vision and drive towards that vision and create. I believe that is true success. So I hope you took away something today. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast. It's been a while since I've done one. I'm going to have new people on the podcast soon. I'm working on that. Scheduling is crazy. But just remember this. Remember that you are created in the image and the likeness of God. Just remember that. And remember always to forge on and stand strong.